Hello and welcome. My name is Alexia. I'm the host of the Fear Free Childbirth podcast, and I'm doing a Facebook Live with Sarah Beneved, and she is going to be sharing her positive birth story. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for offering this opportunity to talk about birth. It's great.
It's great, and we have a little guest. We have a special guest. Do you want to introduce the little man?
Oh yes, his name is Ethan. Little man turned up in July, so
2 months old. Look at that. It's its first Facebook Live. So this is very exciting, very exciting.
Hopefully
he's going to be fine. We've been chatting a little bit before we came on, and he's been so well behaved. So I'm sure he's going to be absolutely fine. But I'm sure everyone's going to understand perfectly if you need to run off and do something, and I'll just come up with something to say. So Sarah, you want to share your positive birth story. I can't wait to hear it because you were very active in the Fearless Birth Prep Challenge, which I ran in June, which was leading up to your birth. And yeah, so I want to hear all about it. But just before we talk about all that, just introduce yourself so that people know a little bit more about who you are.
Okay. My name's Sarah. I'm French and I live in Scotland with Ethan's dad. And I'm 30 years old and this is our first child. Ethan, so yeah, been together for 9.5 years and been wanting to have a family for a while, but waiting for the right moment, if there can ever be a right moment. Yes, and that's us. And I'm in France just now visiting family, so that's why I've got him, because Daddy's back home.
Okay. So when you found out you were pregnant, how was that for you when you realised that this is it, you were pregnant?
Oh, it was amazing. It was on the 11th of November last year, so that's quite a date. And we were coming back from a holiday that we had planned to see friends for their wedding in Canada. And I was thinking when I was there, I was like, I don't really quite feel okay, I can look, there's something different, I had like period symptoms that weren't ending, so just like the tender breast, and I was like, usually it lasts 2-3 days, and then your period comes, and it was lasting longer and longer and longer, but I was in Canada then, so I thought, we'll just wait and see when we come home. And then got home and waited a few more days for my period to come. And I thought, I think I could be pregnant. So I just took a test and that was it. So last year, happened so quickly.
And how was your pregnancy?
Oh, it was really good. It was really, really good. I've never really had problems, any nausea. I was never ill. The only thing that I had was around about, I think it was 20 or 25 weeks pregnant. I had the a really sore pelvis.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. My midwife never really diagnosed it with pelvic girdle pain, but it was probably that. And so I just went to see a chiropractor, and 2 or 3 appointments later I was back to normal, so it was really good.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's good to know that that's what you did and it worked, because there's a lot of women that they have that and they're like, what am I going to do, what can I do? So you had it, you went to see a chiropractor and they sorted it out. Brilliant.
Absolutely, because I wanted a home birth, and not even thinking about a home birth, I thought to myself, how am I going to give birth if I'm in such pain already? When I would be in bed, I couldn't lift my legs. It was like my pelvis couldn't hold my legs anymore. It was painful. And like you said, a lot of women think it's normal, that it's part of pregnancy to be sore, and but it's not. If yours are, just go and do something.
Brilliant. So that was at 25 weeks. So how was your final trimester then? How was that unfolding for you as the D-Day was approaching? How were you feeling?
It was great. I didn't really have much opportunity to sit down and enjoy so much my pregnancy because we were doing home renovation, and so and I had lost my job at the beginning of my pregnancy. I was made redundant, so it was kind of a silver lining that I was at home, being pregnant and having lost my job because it was so much to do in the house. So I did a lot of things myself. But I only managed to sit down, and I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before he arrived, so it was all perfectly in time. But the end of the pregnancy was fine. It was just lovely. I had done my challenge. I was prepared with what you helped the pregnant woman do through the Fearless Challenge, and I was doing yoga. It was great.
Brilliant.
No pain, no fear. It's great.
I remember in the challenge you were very, very active. You did all the homework, didn't you? I think you were commenting pretty much every day. You were there with bells on. So how did that, was there stuff in there that you prepared that you hadn't thought of preparing about before? Did it make you just do it, or did it bring new stuff to you to think about? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Did it just pin you down to get the action done, or did it did make you realize new things?
I think what it made me realize is that I was worried about a C-section, and that was my biggest fear. But doing the challenge made me realize how scared I was from it, and so I was able to work by going through identifying the fears and mostly what to do about them, and how to prepare myself. So I just I challenged my fears when I did my birth plan, and I put through to everyone who wanted to read it. So mostly, my care plan team, midwife and supervisors and midwife. I met with the midwives and supervisor as well, and even the C-section team, one of the supervisors here. So I just went and speak to the lady, and I just said, this is what I'm worried about, and this is what I'm scared of, and just kind of tackled that way so that at least I knew, even if it had to happen, the team knew how I felt about it.
Yeah, brilliant. So
that
did
was
you
important.
find that, like talking about it in a very real, practical way, did that help to kind of alleviate your fear of C-sections?
Yeah, because I felt more prepared. I felt like, okay, if it's an emergency, it's an emergency. It has to happen, but I didn't want to have to end up with a C-section if everything before was rushed. You know how sometimes being induced can rush a lot of the process, and then sometimes you haven't left enough time for baby to come, and all these things, and then they suggest that a C-section is required. So in that way, I was opting for potentially a gentle C-section, which you had done a podcast on, which was really good. So it was helpful to prepare and just know that I could have potentially the gentle option or the emergency, and then that's has to happen.
So it sounds like you had your birth plan A, which was your desired one. Then you also had your plan B, which was possible C-section, and then you also had your plan C, which was emergency C-section. Is that what you did?
Yeah, pretty much. The plan B was a maternity-led unit.
Okay.
Plan
A was home birth. Plan B maternity-led. So you had plan C and plan D.
Plan C was just the section. So.
Hello, Nettie. We've got Nettie watching. Hello, Nettie. She says, "Hi, ladies. Fingers crossed my birthing experience can be as fantastic as Sarah's."
She's my sister-in-law.
Oh, hello, sister-in-law.
Hi, Nettie.
Brilliant. So, so you've done your prep. You feel much better at C-sections. So talk me through that final few weeks of your pregnancy then. Like, did baby arrive on time? Were you waiting? Did you have the overdue thing, or was it, how was all that period of waiting?
To be honest, it's all a little bit weird, but it was fantastic. So everything, so hi. So yeah, it was fab. The moment I found out I was pregnant, the first thing I did is looked on a calendar, because I had a few dates, because I went back to France to get some different scans done, and so I had many different due dates. But anyway, they were all around the 15th and the 10th of July. And the 10th of July is a really important date for me, because this is my brother's birthday and my grandmother's birthday. And there's a lot of things happening on the 10th of July in my life. So I was like, this baby's going to come that day. I was like 9th, 10th, or 11th. And then I looked at the moon, because I'm really receptive to full moons. A lot of women are, and it was a full moon on the 9th of July, and I kept telling Jason, I was like, it's going to be that weekend, and so he was born on the 9th of July.
Oh wow!
So, from the beginning, I was really visualizing my birth, and when it would come and how it was going to be, and it was all exactly like that. So
wow.
leading up to the day, it was just preparing myself and doing my stretches and making sure, bouncing on my ball and all this.
So talk me through your visualization technique. What did you do? Like, let's just put a little bit more detail on that, because I did a lot of visualization and I had the birth that I visualized. But I'd love people watching to know a little bit more about what exactly you did, because you got the birth that you visualized. So tell us your secret.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if there is a secret. I always wanted a home birth. I have nothing against hospital, but it's just not my thing. It just feels not homely and a little bit, obviously, medicalized. And hello.
Yes, totally agree.
And having the French background, sometimes in France, the professionals can be a little bit more pushy about the way the birth should be done. And when I arrived at my first midwife appointment and I said that I wanted a home birth, I was ready to fight for it. I was like, I'm having my home birth and no one's going to take it away from me. And so from the beginning onwards, I knew it's what I wanted. And I just made sure that, every appointment, everything was good and positive to allow me for that. And if it wasn't, then what do we do about it? So, sorry.
Now, I just forgot to ask, did you birth in the UK or did you birth in France?
In the UK.
So I thought it was the UK, but I just wanted to check, because obviously it might be quite different in France, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, it would, it meant that I would have had to potentially do it with the dad, and that wasn't an option.
No, okay.
It was great. So from the beginning, I just visualized how it was going to be. And I wanted it in my house, in my lounge with a pool. I wanted it to be away from the midwives. So they were in the kitchen and we were in the lounge. We had a lot of privacy, which was very important for me, because even after visiting the midwife-led unit, it's good, but it didn't quite feel homely enough. I just visualized it since the beginning. This is what it was going to be like, and I just knew in my heart it was going to be like that. So
brilliant. So so when did it all kick off? What was the first sign that labour was on its way? That this is it. What happened? How did you know?
I don't really know how I knew. I don't remember telling Jason, oh, I think this could be it. It just, it was early on a Sunday morning on the 9th of July, and I was sleeping. So I'm not sure if it started at 5 or 6 in the morning, but around that time. And it was just like very gentle period pain. and you know, like when, you know, when it gets all tight and just, you know, your period is coming, felt like that. But it was stopping and starting and stopping and starting, and you know, an hour, 2 hours. Hello.
He wants to tell me what he was doing and how it was for him.
Yeah. Oh no! So, and I thought, okay, this is not stopping. You know, this could be it. And I think I remember thinking at the time, do I want to stay in bed and rest in case it's going to be a long labor, and I'm ready and I'm rested, or do I want to sleep, or do I want to use gravity and get things going? This is what was going through my mind at the time. And also on the previous midwife appointment, which was on the Tuesday of the previous week, Ethan was only engaged 4/5, if I remember correctly. So I was worried that, you know, was he really engaged, or is he engaged more, and all these things. And all I could think about was, I remember Linda, who did some the Fearless Challenge with you. Remember how she was explaining the exercises to do?
Yeah.
What to do to help your baby position in the pelvis and all this. So I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing if baby ends up not being engaged enough for labor. I was ready.
Brilliant.
And that's actually one of the first thing I told the midwife when she came to our house. I said, baby wasn't so engaged at the last appointment. I'm not sure. So yes, so I started slowly in the morning, in the early hours, and just creeped up until I thought maybe I should be calling the midwife. Yeah, we did.
So what time did you call the midwife? Do you know, I mean, asking you the time might be a little bit pointless because you might not have any idea of time, but do you have a sense of when you might have called the midwives?
Yeah, I have I remember quite a lot of things because it was a really, really good, gentle labor. So it was all very good. I think I first called them around 10:30, and I said, I think I'm in labor, and I said to them, you know how they say you have to tell them if you're hypnobirthing because you're
way too calm.
Yeah, you're calm and you're just reacting differently. So I said, oh, I'm a hypnobirthing mom and I think I'm in labor. And I had done my contraction timing on an app.
Yeah.
And the app telling me that I was potentially in second stage. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is getting serious.
What app is this that tells you what stage you're in? What's the app?
Oh, I can't remember. I deleted it. It was like a contraction. It is an app for you stop and start your contraction, and then
because I used one of those, but it didn't tell me what stage I was in. So that would be useful. Okay.
I'll have a look.
Got your contractions and
so it said I was potentially in second stage, and I was like, okay, well, better get the midwife to come over then. So I called them and I said, my app is saying this, and I remember expecting them to say, okay, we'll send someone, but the midwife said, how do you feel? And she was just asking me other kinds of questions. She was like, do you want us to come? And I remember thinking, oh, what do you mean? Do I ask you to come? You should be telling me when you need to come. So I was like, okay, well, I'm coping for now. I guess I can call you a little bit later so that, you don't have to come right away. And I did. I waited, I think it was until 12:30. I kept pushing it back, because I didn't want them to come and tell me, okay, we're going to go back and we're going to leave you and you've got a wee while. You know how they and then you get that feeling of, oh, it's, not going to be anytime soon. And so So I didn't want that. So I waited until it felt like it was really established. And that was, I think, 12:30, and the midwife came. I think it was 1:15, if I remember. Mm-hmm.
And so that did you go in the pool? How was that when how are things moving on for you?
So as soon as we realized, okay, today's the day, Jason, the pool was up and ready. It was inflated, and because we didn't know how long it was going to last, I said to Jason, we should probably just put really hot water in the pool so that it doesn't lose too much heat, in case it's not going to be until tonight. So he filled it up with hot water. Meanwhile, I was like, I quite fancy a bath. Because it's a great pool to fill. I couldn't use the other bath because I would have been using the water. So as soon as he finished it, I ran to the bathroom as fast as I could. Contractions. And I ran just a little bath in our own bathroom, just to get that feeling of, oh, it's warm, it's nice, it feels.
Yeah.
It wasn't to take the pain away, it was just to be relaxed. He filled up the pool, which didn't take too long. I think it took maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. As soon as that was done, I went into our bathroom and I stayed there for a couple of hours, I think, until probably 2:30, 3 o'clock, I would say, that I did my own bath, because I was a first-time mom, and the midwives don't really want you to go into the birthing pool before they arrive.
Okay.
Oh, before they say yes, you can go, because it can slow down the progress of labor. It can space out your contraction. So I didn't get to go until they told me, which was later on. I think it was around 4 o'clock when they said. Mm-hmm. And so in fact,
Okay, carry on. Sorry, don't want to interrupt.
I was just going to say, in fact, it's a good thing I didn't, because my bath at home had spaced out my contractions, and that was round about lunchtime, so it was already a good couple of hours of labor.
So you mentioned when you went in the bath that you said it wasn't really about pain. Were you in any pain at any point?
I wouldn't say that it was pain. I would say, for me, I never felt like any of it was painful. It was just really intense. But my breathing was matching the intensity of what I was feeling, and I think that's how I coped.
Yeah. So when you felt a contraction come, your breathing was a little bit more intense and more sort of that kind of thing. Yeah, and then it calmed down a bit. I think that's what I did for my second birth, and it works really well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it works really well, and you just automatically shut down. Like, I don't remember a lot of what happened in the interaction between Jason and the midwives, because for every contraction I was just 100% dedicated to my breathing, and it was like, don't speak to me right now, just wait a second.
Yeah. So so now let's move us forward a bit to when it, I don't know, like you've been in the pool. At what point does it start things start happening? You move on to third day. Let's start that bit.
Okay, so I came out of the bath, and like I said, the water had spaced out the contractions, but the intensity was the same. So I thought, well, it's a good thing I didn't go into the birthing pool. And the midwife was asking, she wanted to examine me, and that was part of my birth plan. I didn't want a lot of vaginal examinations, because I didn't want to be told, you're only 3, you're only 2. So I didn't want that, because I knew that it would not discourage me, but affect my the way that I was feeling, confidence about the length of how far I could go.
Yeah, I think I actually wrote on my birth plan that I don't want to know the dilation. So when you do check, just don't tell me, because I don't need to know that information. And it's great because they didn't tell me any of that. And for the same reason that you've given, that it doesn't help you at all, does it? And the last thing you want is that kind of information for you to go, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's your yes, kind of psychological readiness of like, I'm this is not good, or yes, I'm 6, 7, I can do this. I think it affects you in that way.
Definitely.
And so that's what I didn't want. So that's why I delayed it. And then, so I came out of the bath, and straight away, obviously, I felt so much heavier. The contractions came, I think I had 3 between my bathroom and my lounge. And, everything speeded up after the bath. And I was like, oh my God, I wasn't prepared for that, So I think what happened after that, we went to the lounge and everything was ready. The couch was protected and covered, and the pool was just waiting for me. And I said, okay, yes, I would like to know how far I am. And so the midwife did her examination, and I was 6 centimeters, which I was like, what? Amazing. I was so happy. It was really good. So she said, if you want to, now you can go into the pool. And I thought, okay, right. And we stayed a little bit on the couch while I was having a few more contractions. I don't really know what time I came into the pool, but probably an hour after that. And then I went into the pool, and I just felt amazing because it's so much deeper than your normal bath. And I don't know what it was during my labor, but I was the kind of a woman, like during a contraction, I didn't want to move. I was like, no, I couldn't move. I couldn't sit on the ball. It was so painful to sit on the birthing ball. So that was out the window. And I just wasn't moving. I got into the pool in one position and I delivered in the same position. I was not moving. And I got into the pool, and I'd say I stayed about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours in the pool. Okay. And I delivered in the pool as well.
So water baby, did he come up through the water? Wow.
He's a water little baby.
So how was that moment, the birth moment for you?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was amazing. He was a great little partner. His heart rate was perfect all the way, which obviously the midwife was happy with, and that kind of takes the pressure off. You always get that potential uni transferred because of the baby's heartbeat kind of threat. I think I'm going to try and feed him. Would you like that? A few seconds. So until the end, it was always on my mind that there could be something with his heartbeat. But he was fine. He was great. And something that I wasn't expecting is, the third stage. The third stage is the placenta, isn't it? So for the delivery, I was expecting the pushing to be really more intense than the contractions. And I don't know how it was like for you, but for me, it didn't feel like contractions anymore. It wasn't the waves, it wasn't coming and going and coming and going. It was completely different.
Yeah, I had that. It felt like it was just the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like
this is too much.
Yeah. So I was a bit like, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to be a lot more sore and intense. And to this, I was waiting for the stage where I say, I can't do this. I can't do this. And that's when the midwives know that you're not far.
Yeah.
But I never had that. So it was, I was just all a bit surprised. So it was like you say, it was on all the time. It was like how can I explain? It was just like constant pressure. That's what it was. Constant pressure. But not particularly sorer than the peak cover contraction that just happened, for example.
It just that I suppose there's really intense period pains where you just really feel it in your pelvic area. That kind of expulsing, is that a word? Like kind of it's obvious your body's trying to push something out, and it's trying to push it out over a long period of time, and that's how it felt for me. I was like, this is I found the placenta bit quite challenging compared to the birth, at least.
Oh yeah. So afterwards, the placenta, I didn't like that, I have to say. I think it's because I had the hype of having your baby and you still go through that. It's not nice, is it?
No.
But the pushing stage, it was just very different from what I was expecting.
So did he come out in like one push? Did you have to, was it, in, out, come on, like 3 contractions, or how long did it take?
A little bit longer than that. So I don't think my pushing stage was too long. I think it's probably, I would say maybe half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, I'm not sure.
Okay.
And I don't remember feeling him coming down the birth canal, but I just remember that constant pressure that we were just talking about. And how what I was trying to aim for is not having to push him out. I was aiming for the natural reflex, I can't remember. It's got a specific name, but just
there is a. I know that I can't got the word on the tip of my tongue, but I know what you mean. There's a natural reflex that your body will just push your baby out without you consciously doing it yourself.
Yeah, expressive reflex or
something like that. Yeah, ejectile. Is that?
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's something like that, and that's through my research and everything. I was preparing myself to get into that stage because I was also hypnobirthing during all the labor. So towards the end, I was waiting for that, and because I've only had one vaginal examination, I didn't really know when I was at 10, and I didn't really get the green light to start pushing, but I felt like I wanted to, and it wasn't overwhelming either. I just started pushing, and I remember my midwives were saying to each other, they told me afterwards, I think she's pushing. And I was, and it took, I would say, probably 6-7 pushes to have him.
Okay.
And it was very, I could feel everything. It was amazing. I kept telling the midwife, "Are you okay? Are you okay?"
We've got Lucy saying, "Hi ladies, this is perfect timing for me to hear your story. I'm hoping for a water birth and have also done hypnobirthing in an MLU. And I'm experiencing early contractions this morning, although very inconsistent. I'm 41 plus 3. Thank you for sharing. I'm feeling so positive." Brilliant. You see, this is great, Sarah. You're inspiring somebody else and helping them to get into the zone for birth. So
fantastic. We'll maybe have a baby by the end of the day.
I know. So 6-7 pushes, and then so when he came out, what was that moment like for you?
It was amazing. And so I kept telling my midwife, I feel like I'm not letting go. I feel like I'm worried about tearing, I think it was important for me to voice these concerns and so that I could maybe get the reassurance from the midwife, from Jason, just voice them so that they're out there, it's almost like I've said it now, I can deal with it kind of thing,
Yeah.
And so obviously I was worried of tearing, but I also had done some perineum massages to prep, and I had took some homeopathy and you know, the raspberry leaf tea, and I just really prepared myself a lot. And I was like, you know, if you're going to tear, you're going to tear, but you know, baby has to come out. So obviously I listened to my body, and every push that I felt like I wanted to push, I pushed, but not more, if you know what I mean. I just went with how I felt. And if I felt like I didn't want to push, then I wasn't continuing to push. And I think that maybe helped, because I barely had any. I just had some scratches and a tiny tear. And I kept telling the midwife, he's going back in, he's going back in. And I knew that it was normal, you know, that it comes out and it goes back in.
Yeah, I had that in the first one. She kept going back in. It's like, why isn't she coming out?
No, it's amazing. And I knew that happened. And I was like, okay. But it was like 5, 6 times, 7 times that it was going back in. I was like, no, I can't have it going back in anymore.
Not after all this.
And so I felt like I needed a milestone, if you know what I mean. So when I felt that he was not far away from like having his head out, I just give it a good push, and the head came out. And I probably shouldn't have done that, because then I had a tiny little tear. I think it would have been at that moment, because I really pushed it. And I won't do that next time. I'll just leave it. You know, if it takes 10 pushes to get just the head out, then fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoop. And after that, the head came out, and because I didn't have any drugs or anything during labor, so I felt his head rotate, you know, for the shoulder to come up. And I remember telling the midwife, "Do you have your hands in the water? Is it you?" And the midwife was like, no, this is all your own. I was like, oh, sorry. And it was just him. It was just him preparing for the rest of his body to turn. So he was just preparing himself. And then it was just the one contraction or one push. Oh, you're happy.
And then he came out. Oh.
Yes. And it came out. And I remember the midwife saying, "Do you want to catch your baby?" And in the split of a second, I said no, because I had been on my knees for the last couple of hours. I was worried I'd be numb and move and, you know, hurt if I, move back and sit on him, or, you know, I don't know. I was just worried that, you know, I wouldn't have control over my body after being in the same position for so long. And it turns out that the midwife helped me, so she sat me back, because I wasn't on my knees, and over, so baby came out, and then it all happened very quickly. I just moved back and sat back and catched him between my legs with the help of the midwife. So it was amazing. I could do it again in a heartbeat. I was thinking if you after that, it was such a good experience.
That's amazing.
And I think something that really helped is because I didn't want any any help or any drugs, or I'm not even sure what's available for a home birth, but there are some medicine that are available for a home birth, but I hadn't even looked at them because I didn't want them. But what my partner did is, because obviously the water for the pool is at 37 degrees, it was really hot for me, you know, with the contractions, the pushing and all the efforts you're putting into it. I was just roasting. I kept saying, I want cold water in the pool. I want cold water in the pool. And the midwife was like, no, it can't. It has to be at 37 degrees for the baby. I was like, I know it has. I know. I'm too hot. I was roasting. And what my partner did is get a bucket of ice cold water and just, trickled it on my arms, on my face, my neck, and that helped so much. I would say that was my my pain relief.
Was it? How interesting.
Oh yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
Really helpful because you're roasting and you just want freshness.
Yeah. So what time was the little one born? Like it all kicked off maybe 6 a.m. The midwife, you got in the pool about 4. What time did he show up?
So it was 6 in the evening. So
say that again, the little sound clip, at 8 o'clock, did you say?
No, it was 6:19.
Oh, 6:19. Okay, yeah, okay. So that wasn't long at all then, like what, 10 hours from the first contraction?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, 10, 12 hours if something like that, yeah. So it was...
Yeah, good. So, and then did you have delayed cord clamping? Did you have the skin to skin for an hour? Did he breastfeed straight away? How did all that go?
Yeah. It was fabulous. Yeah, we did all that. So I wanted delayed cord clamping. I wanted the skin to skin. You know, I just wanted a lot of privacy with my baby and his father, and the midwives were really good. They were very gentle, they were keeping their distances. All the checks they had to do, they were doing them very quietly, and allowing time for us to just get to know each other. So we did the skin in the pool for, I think it would have been 45 minutes. I stayed in the pool after delivering him.
Nice.
And it's best to deliver the placenta outside of the pool. I stayed in the pool for 45 minutes out, and then we did some skin to skin after that. So
wow.
Yeah, and then
wonderful. So if anybody's watching, if you've got any questions for Sarah, then do put them in the comments, because I'm hopefully asking stuff that might come to you. But if you have a question, just let me know. Just let us know. So when you look back at your birth, it sounds incredible. It sounds like it was really, really positive. But I'm just wondering, is there anything that you would have changed? Or did it, as far as you're concerned, there's nothing you would change at all? How do you feel? Like, what's your view?
To be honest, the only thing I would have changed is definitely I've learned my lesson about pushing, because I really wanted that milestone of the head being out, and I should have just listened to my body and just waited probably a few more contractions or wave, and his head would have been out. Because the recovery after, it didn't take me long before I could sit properly, but I felt like, it would have been, I would have healed better and faster. It was only a couple of days of, being a bit sore and tender down there afterwards. But yeah, that's the thing. Everything else was absolutely perfect. It was the midwives where I had never met them before, and they were fantastic. I think I owe them quite a lot, because I was worried I wouldn't be in tune with the midwives who would be coming to my house. And the moment I saw her name was Iona. The moment I saw her, I was like, I love you. This is exactly what I needed. She was fab, she was gentle, she was calm and quiet. She wasn't forceful. So yeah, that was obviously, it's not something you can decide to change or not, because you don't need to have, but no, I wouldn't change anything. Everything was really good.
No, I think it's nice to hear you say that, that you had midwives that turned up that you didn't know, and you were fine with that, because that happened to me for both of my births as well. The midwives that turned up at the home birth, I didn't know them, I'd never met them before, and it didn't bother me either. And I think a lot of women in advance of their home birth worry about, well, what if the midwife comes and I don't like her? And so it's just, I think it's just nice for them to hear that maybe that can be absolutely fine. I think the one thing about a home birth team, the community midwives do tend to be, a lot of midwives love a home birth. They get really excited about a home birth because they're happy to not be in the hospital environment. And home births are so magical that they tend to remember them. I remember I met the midwife from my first birth, at an event I was doing in the mother care store here in the UK last year, so 6 years after the birth, and she came up to me and she's like, "Oh, hi Lexia, la 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 la." I'm like, "Who are you? Who are you?" And I was like, because I was like thinking, well, maybe she knows from the podcast. Maybe it's from the podcast. I'll just keep chatting. And then it transpires that she must be a midwife, and I'm like, "Were you?" And then it's like, "Oh, you were the midwife at my first birth," and she remembers all the details from my birth 6 years ago.
Wow.
And I was like, "How on earth do you remember that?" She goes, "Well, we don't do that many, and they really stand out because they're so magical." And so it's worth knowing that, if you've got the home birth, that actually it's likely to be absolutely fine. You're not likely to get, some type of midwife that might be the kind of matron you might find in the hospital environment.
Yeah,
I think some women are scared of,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are completely different, and I think I'm worried about that. How in a hospital they tend to, if you birth in a hospital, obviously I've never done it, but it's from my research and everything, and comparing with having a home birth, they tend to identify a lot if there's any problems because they need to allow time for transfer. When if you're thinking about having a home birth, you maybe don't realize that the care that you're going to get at home is going to be different. It's going to be a lot more personalized and a lot more private. But it's also going to be on the safe side because they're not going to take any chances if anything's wrong. They will suggest for you to be transferred. And in fact, I remember because that one of my fears was also that the midwives wouldn't give me the time to labor naturally. So I knew that Ethan was going to be early, so I didn't I didn't spend too much time being concerned about it. But I thought about induction, and I knew that I wanted to wait as long as I could for that. But sometimes, they just offer you an induction, or they can be a little bit pushy, but for no medical reason behind it. It's just maybe because the mother wants to have her baby, and so coming a bit hard towards the end and all that. And I didn't want that. I wanted to make sure that whoever was on board with me would give me the time that I needed to do it all naturally. And it does make a big difference. But I remember saying all this to the supervisors of midwife when I met with her. And she said, "Oh, but no, we love a home birth, like you said. We're totally supporting you. We're going to be, there for you, and we're happy to do that." And she said, a lot of people don't realize that laboring at home is pretty much the same as laboring in a midwife-led unit, but they feel more safe because they're in a structure that is, kind of ready for birth rather than in your home. So
now Lucy's got a question. She said, "Did you use any of the hypnobirthing scripts or music during labour, or did you just purely rely on breathing? And how did you make your environment calm and relaxing?"
Oh, lovely. Hi, Lucy. So I think we started to have the hypnobirthing tracks when I entered the pool. So that was quite late in the labor phase. So in the pool, and I didn't have the tracks because the labor happened on the Sunday morning, and my partner, bless him, was running around trying to get the pool ready. He was also trying to feed me because I didn't feel hungry at the start of the day. So everything happened so quickly. I never really thought about, I want my hypnobirthing, and someone put it on. It wasn't prepared to just have it on the computer and kind of thing. But it was only afterwards that my partner said we should probably do that, and I said, "Oh yeah, let's just put the hypnobirthing." So it was more calming white sounds, like waves and the winds and little forest birds, and kind of, so it wasn't the actual hypnobirthing. But what I did every time that I thought, oh, this one is lasting, or this one is a bit more intense, I was visualizing my happy place, if you know what I mean. I was like, okay, and for me, it was going for beautiful walks, which I was doing a lot during my pregnancy, and remembering the smell of the walks in the summer, and all these things that, you know, make you happy, details of your happy place. So as also the beach sound, the feeling of the beach, exactly like, you know, those lovely voices tell you on a hypnobirthing track. Remember the breeze on your skin, and how the sun feels on your skin, and all these lovely things they say. That's what was going through my mind to keep me going whenever it was a bit intense.
Yeah, okay. And then the other one was, how did you make your environment calm and relaxing? Was there anything else that you did other than the lovely sounds of nature?
We didn't do much, to be honest, but our living room is very cozy, very calm and relaxing in itself. So we had just some fairy lights, and we had closed down the curtains for the neighbours, get a bit of privacy. And yeah, everything was just organized for the birth, and it was naturally relaxing in our house. So I think it's something that is how do you choose the room you're going to labour in? You know, some people do it in their bedroom. We wanted it in the lounge because it's really cozy and we like it. You know, so I felt comfortable in that room. I didn't have to do anything to it.
Yeah. And obviously being at home, that's why we choose at home, because it is just, you're going to be more relaxed at home anyway, aren't you? Because it's your home. So
yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Sarah, for sharing. I don't know if you've got any more questions, Lucy, because I'm going to wrap up in a minute. If you have, then now's your chance to pop a quick question in. Is there anything else that you want to share, Sarah, about your birth that maybe I haven't asked you, or you think, oh, I'd really like to say this to maybe Lucy, who's literally waiting for things to kick off? Is there anything else that maybe you'd like to share?
I think one thing I would say is that if you want a home birth and you have a low-risk pregnancy and your midwife is happy to follow you in that journey, then I would definitely, you know, go for it, because it's a wonderful experience. You're already so much more relaxed. And in fact, one thing that I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have coped with is the transfer if I had to be transferred, because it was hard enough to go from my bathroom to my lounge, to get into a car, then down to the hospital, and go through the speed bumps and
oh no, I couldn't imagine that either.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, thank God I don't have to transfer. And if I want to do it, of course you just have to do it, but it must be uncomfortable, if not painful. So I'm happy I went with that option. But just trust your instinct. I think it's very important. And if your partner is not on board, you know, work on it with it, because he also needs to be comfortable. If he has any fears or anything that he's not comfortable with, he might transfer it to you subconsciously. It's very important. We had done a lot of work with Jason and a lot of research too. And I think myself, I was so calm and prepared for that birth that he saw that and he was like, wow, she's ready for this, you know.
She's got this.
Yeah, so that made him a bit more, you know,
confident.
Trusty.
Yeah, my other half said that to me. He goes, yeah, but you just look like you just had it in hand. And I was like, okay. And that says a lot. And also, you know, that because obviously if you look a little bit worried, then they're going to be worried about you, and that can just spiral. So you feed off each other in that situation. Well, I think brilliant. No, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say the only time that he was a little bit concerned during the pushing stage, because I was a little bit vocal. And yeah, I guess if I was to do it again, I would communicate to him that I wasn't in pain, and that the vocalization that I was doing, it was only because it was giving me strength to push, to just do the moaning and the pushing really hard. To him, it must have looked like I was in a lot of pain, but I wasn't. It was just I needed to find the strength to push, and
Yeah.
it was like I kept telling him afterwards, it's like going to the gym and doing a weight session, and you're just having that weight up, and your legs are shaky, and you really want to push it up. And you just it was just that.
Yeah.
So obviously that was afterwards, but I wish I had told him I'm okay, I'm not in pain. I can use this to push and breathe the baby down.
Brilliant. And there he is, Ethan, looking absolutely gorgeous. Look at those cheeks. And every time you're touching the back of his head, I'm just imagining the softness of a baby's head, who are just so soft, aren't they? It's just adorable.
It's amazing.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Sarah, for sharing your story. Lucy says, I'm good. Thank you so much. Brilliant. Happy to help, Sarah. Glad that this is such perfect timing for you, Lucy. So brilliant. So thank you once again, Sarah, for joining me on this Facebook Live, sharing your story. So we're going to wrap up.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexa.
Bye.
Bye.